The following podcast may have certain mental health topics that can be found either uncomfortable or triggering to an individual. Please listen with caution or click on another podcast if need be. Spirit has his little beanie today, so I think you know what type of day it is. It's one of those days where you just want comfort. You just want to feel nice and cozy. Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Talking with the Stars. If you're seeing this through Spotify, it's good to hear from you again. If you're seeing this through YouTube, it's good to see you again. Today's podcast is going to be a little bit of a different one, and based on the way that I'm speaking compared to the other ones, you know, it's a bit more of a gentle one where you just want to feel a bit more at ease than the times where I talk in other podcasts. I think it's important to bring to light the idea that sometimes we just have bad days. Sometimes we just feel a sense of sadness and, you know, just feel quite down and just want to kind of feel comfort in any sort of way and gain support from other people. And then there are those times of our lives where it starts to get a bit more heavier than simply just feeling sad, very well known as depression. And sometimes that feeling can go even more of an extent and lead to feelings of not necessarily wanting to be alive anymore, feelings of that your life is not worth anything, it's not worth it to be alive, and that the world that you live in is just not worth it anymore. And I'm fully aware of the fact that there are many there are things that are happening in this world that are causing a lot of panic, causing a lot of pain, climate change, global warming. There are some people on the internet who have admitted to just giving up, being that there is no way to help the environment, or that we've gone so far deep that there is no point to help it. I know a lot of people are scared about a certain project that has been passed. If you don't know what the Willow Project is, it's a project that has been passed that people are fighting to be denied, as it will cause extensive amounts of pollution in our water. In America, it's starting to get more dangerous to openly be a part of the LGBTQ community. I've seen a lot of videos talking about the fact that Gen Z is one of the biggest generations to have the highest amount of suicide rates and just feelings of being worthless, very, very terrible, having very terrible mental health. And I think it's because for two reasons. Number one, Gen Z is one of the most open, Gen Z is one of the first generations to be extremely open about mental health and be able to, quickly seek help when they need it. But at the same time, it's sort of difficult in terms of with factors and pressures that are causing people to not want to seek help. There is a lot of pressure, and I know some generations can deny it, but I have been told by by experts in this sort of field that Gen Z is the generation that is getting a lot of pressure, and just basically Gen Z is in charge of handling everything that the past generations have screwed up, because we're starting to see the effects of it now. And unfortunately, Gen Z is one of the generation that people are well, it's up to you now to try and fix everything that we've done wrong. Good luck, buddy. And of course, even though it's not something that we have like made. This isn't like a problem that has arisen with us. It's been going on for quite a while now, yet for some reason apparently it's Gen Z's like responsibility to make it work. There's a lot of pressure on us to be the generation that essentially saves this earth, and Gen Z is doing such I've never seen a generation like fight in the way that like Gen Z is doing. When someone who's a part of like Generation Z, Generation Z, I thought the entire time I got it stuffed up, they seem to be like, if they're passionate about something, they will fight and they will keep fighting and they will not stop, whether it's on social media, whether it's in person. People of our generation won't stop until we get what we believe is right and what we believe like will help us in the future. And I think that is such an amazing thing that us as a generation have, that we are able to stand proud about what we believe in. I am someone, if you don't know, I don't talk about this a lot on social media. I am someone who actually cares very deeply about the environment. I sign a lot of petitions. I try to go to as many things that I can to help either raise awareness or take a stance for the environment. I'm someone who's very involved within things, raising awareness for the LGBTQ community, and mental health and whatnot, signing petitions to free any laws that are sort of oppressing people from just being themselves and whatnot. And I think that as a person, each one of us has so much potential to be able to change the world. And even though some things are beyond our capability, such as just things not working out in our favor, whether it's, people that are causing any sort of pressure or anything to make you feel as though you are in their control and you don't have control over yourself. You are your own individual person. No matter how many times someone tells you that you belong to them, you actually belong to yourself. You do have the power, even if it doesn't feel like that right now. You do have the power to make a change. And if you're sitting there being like, I can't be helped, I can't be changed, you actually, there is a possibility. There is a way for you to change. This podcast is not here to diagnose you with anything. I am not here to sort of, in a way, guide you that a psychologist would. If you are feeling these sort of very strong feelings of, anything that is negative, any sort of, you're feeling depressed all the time, you're feeling you may be unfortunately feeling suicidal thoughts. Unfortunately, the first thing that you should do is definitely seek help, seek support, seek helplines, seek any psychologists that are available to you. This podcast is not here to replace that, as I am not a certified psychologist. However, what this podcast is here to do is I can give support, not very, I can give you, just sort of things that can be very helpful in terms of just slowly taking steps to be able to get out of that mindset, to sort of find your, to help take small steps to find that worth. Maybe even giving you some examples of what I have done to help in those sort of situations. But definitely before listening to this, it is a lot better if you do go seek professional help, or potentially if you do have the ability to go to any psychiatric ward, it's a lot more beneficial to be able to go see that, to go to that rather than to stay here and listen to the podcast. However, you may be in a tough situation where you are scared to talk to anyone, you are scared to seek that help. I'm hoping that this podcast is here for you to find that ability and find that like power inside of you to be able to realize I need more than what I am doing right now, and I need, like, I deserve and need like help. And it's scary to come to terms with the fact that you may not be okay yourself. It's scary to come to terms with the fact that you possibly even need professional help, but that doesn't excuse you trying to find it. And if anything, that you being able to come to terms with the fact that, hey, I'm not okay, and I may need like a psychologist, I may need a therapist, I may need a psychiatrist, that alone, that realization alone is one of the strongest things that you can do for yourself, and one of the most beautiful things that like you can do to start the steps in being able to heal from this. It's a very long journey to be able to kind of get out of this pattern and be able to find ways to start, like, to help you and whatnot, but it's a journey that, number one, will be so worth it for you in the future, to try and follow, to try and keep up, to try and just to try and support you in times of very negative mental health, times of depression, times of possible dangerous thoughts. But it is something that is very important as human and as an individual, that you have that strength to be able to help you. If you're obviously listening to this, it means that you yourself are still here. And I just want to say that you are absolutely amazing, despite everything that's being thought, despite anything that's coming through your head, despite all of the challenges that the world has thrown at you, that terrible things have happened to you to cause you to feel like this. You are still here. You are still existing. You possibly may even be listening to this thinking that you may need the help and support that you might have thought you didn't need or thought was useless to you. And that is amazing. You are doing absolutely amazing. And there's nothing like, you are worth so much more than you may think. A lot of the times in this sort of period when you feel super just depressed and upset and just you feel like you are nothing within this world, I want you to remember that you have potential. Every single human being in this world has potential. Whether, I know for a lot of us, schoolwork can be something that causes you to feel like you're not good enough for this world. If you are someone who is feeling an immense pressure by the school system, I want you to remember one thing, and that's the fact that there are people out here, there are people that are super successful and are doing absolutely amazing things with their lives, and they maybe not, they didn't do the best in school. They got maybe average grades and whatnot, and they still managed to do something with their lives. If you're not getting perfect A+, if you're not achieving the standard of maybe your strict parents, I guess it's hard. It's hard, definitely, because being with parents that don't support you or expect way too much out of you, it can be very stressful. But you are doing amazing, absolutely amazing with what you are trying to succeed. You are doing absolutely amazing, simply trying your best at school. And trying your best, honestly, is all that really matters when you're when you're doing tests, when you're learning. And school is a place where you learn and where you develop yourself as a person. It has nothing to do with getting perfect A's, being the top constantly, being first and whatnot. And a lot of people may experience these thoughts when they're not achieving first and when they're not the very best. But at the end of the day, as everyone is human, there is always a weakness within you. And it doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. Weaknesses are not a bad thing. It just means that when you identify your weaknesses, it means that you have understood yourself to the point where you know what you're good at, what are your strong points, and what may not necessarily be those strong points. And being able to find that within yourself is something that is it will help you in the long run. And if you want to further push yourself and develop yourself, then you look at those weaknesses and you see, how can I turn those weaknesses into strengths? And if you can't, that's perfectly okay, because not everyone is perfect. And if you're trying, that's the best that you can do. And if you're trying, that's the greatest you can do. And that means that you're absolutely amazing, and not following the majority who prefers to just simply shoot down a challenge and stuff simply because they don't know. They don't want to try it in the event of failing, because failing is not actually a bad thing. Failing at something doesn't mean that you are a terrible person. It doesn't mean that you're I think the word fail and failing is linked too much to, the meaning of the terrible things that come with being a failure. Being someone who, sucks at something. I'm saying that with quotation marks if you're listening to this and not saying this. You may suck at something, you may be bad, and that can be seen as a target for insults and whatnot. But failing is not a bad thing. I think if you want to, the first step in being able to see life in a more being able to see life in a more positive view starts with being able to redefine certain words for yourself. Seeing the word failure may not necessarily mean failing, but more so learning. If you learn, learning is such a more effective way to view failing than just, seeing yourself as someone who just is a terrible person and sucks. If you see the word failing as just learning, then it helps you to be okay, how can I get better? How can I advance within this? How can I strengthen my skills? And it helps with certain things. It just helps to be able to try things and be able to take those challenges and leaps that you've always wanted to do, but you couldn't because you may have been scared. Another thing also is to remember that in darkness, there will always be light somewhere. You may be able to know, you might or you may not know the yin and the yang symbol. With good, there's always bad. With light, there's always darkness. But with darkness, there'll always be light. In no shape or form will there be darkness, but just absolute, complete darkness. There's always going to be light somewhere. In certain situations, you may have to fight for that light, unfortunately, but in certain situations, that light may just be sitting there. That light just may be there, and you've just got to realize it, you've got to see it, and you've got to reach for it. In certain situations, people, making you feel awful, people, making you feel as though you may not necessarily be, free to do what you want to do and whatnot. In that situation, the light may be something that you have to fight for. And I know that sometimes that can be sad, but you have the strength and the capability to be able to find that light and to be able to fight for that light and just be able to find that light within the darkness. Because even though you may currently be sitting in darkness and you just feel as though that it's just, you can't see the light from where you are, time, experiences, feelings are something that doesn't forever stay there. They're transient. And if you don't know what that word means, it means that it comes and it stays there, but it doesn't stay there forever. It may go. And if you want to, be able to take the steps to healing and being able to find that light again, realizing that this feeling doesn't have to stay there forever is a very important step. Realizing that you have the potential to get out of this darkness, find the light, is something that is very important. Even if finding that light requires support from friends and family and people that you trust, or people that are qualified to be able to help you, those situations that will very much be able to that will help you to find that light. You don't always have to look for it alone, and you can always have people to help. And everyone experiences certain feelings and thoughts and process things very differently from each other. No one will unfortunately be able to understand exactly the way that you're feeling. They can try to relate in terms of being I may know how to support, I may be able to help you, I may have experienced something similar to you, but everything that you experience in that time, especially if it's an organic reaction, an organic feeling, and your thoughts, those are all completely valid. You are not a burden. There is nothing wrong with you for being able to reach out for help. I know one of the most common things that prevents people from being able to want to reach out for help is that they you may feel a burden, and you may feel as though you don't deserve to get help. That could not be further from the truth. You deserve just as much as everyone else. You are a human being that requires what you need to be able to stay healthy and happy, just like everyone else. And unfortunately, your mind may make you think that you do not deserve that, but you do. You deserve everything that you need to feel happy and safe. And if that requires other people's support and other people's help, you go and you get that. If that requires something that can emotionally keep you stable, you go and you reach for that. If it requires, helplines, external help, such as psychologists, psychiatrists, or going into psychiatric wards, mental hospitals, you go and you get yourself there. You are not wasting anyone's time. You are not burdening anyone. You are not taking a space that someone else, may need. You're if you need it, you get it. You need it. You are just as important, and you need it just as much as someone else may need it. And no one, if you are experiencing a difficulty or you're experiencing something, don't let anyone tell you, oh, but people have it worse, so why are you feeling this way? Just because someone has it worse, it doesn't mean that your feelings are any less valid than, someone else who may be experiencing something that by logic and statistics may essentially be worse. It is evoking a reaction and an emotion out of you and certain thoughts out of you, which makes it just as important and needs attention just as much as someone else's issue or someone else's problems. Granted, that doesn't mean that every single little tiny issue is something that is valid to get extremely upset about. If you have lost your little bit of blue tack or your pencil, it's okay. You can just go buy another one. But if you are experiencing thoughts that are making it dangerous to stay alone, that is something where you should seek help and seek attention and be able to get support, because you deserve it and you need it, because you're just someone who deserves just as much as everyone else. Sorry, I sort of lost my train of thought. I want you to know also that this podcast doesn't have a script or anything that I'm sort of going off of. I've done research and whatnot to help in this topic and help in this sort of situation, so that I know the right things to say, but I haven't scripted anything, mainly because I want this to feel as organic and personal as possible. So if certain things just aren't resonating with you or doesn't make sense, that is probably why. Oh, Spirit, what have you got there? Spirit has a little book, and it's called Today You Are a Little Raccoon. And I know it's a little bit strange. I mean, you usually tend to be like, I'm like a dog, I'm like a rabbit, I'm like a cat. Well, today you're like a raccoon. Or today you are a little raccoon. This was a book that I actually found at Smash, the convention, and it's actually a very, very, very effective book. When I saw this, I pretty much cried when I read it and went, so true. I am a little raccoon and needed to buy it. And it's something that I read daily, and it's a very, very good. It's very good. It's very short. It's only 4 pages. But it is a very effective book that can help you just to feel a bit more, I guess, like you have control of your life, rather than just feeling as though you are nothing, just a speck that is floating within this world, because you have so much more potential. And even though humans compared to the rest of the world are quite small, we still have the potential to do big things, and it's even better if you can achieve those big things as just such little creatures, like a raccoon. Alright. A raccoon has no appointments. A raccoon has nowhere to be. You need only to listen to instincts. Wiggle, wiggle, scrabble, scrabble. He's searching through a little bin using his instincts to find what you seek. He has food that he's found, all the good things that he wants, and even though to certain people it may not seem like, much or something that they necessarily want, to you it may be seen as treasure. Even though this is just rubbish and scraps that people may have not wanted, to this raccoon it is everything that they've ever dreamed of and are gold. The face says it all. Your form is one of beauty, made of clever hands and bright eyes. It does all that it needs to and safeguards you in the night. If you want the artist for this book, or you want to potentially find this, Swan Princess, Swan and then PRINCEX on Instagram. They are the artists for this, and it's one of the cutest books. It's short, but it gets straight to the point. And I really like the last page where it says your form is one of beauty, made of clever hands and bright eyes. It really shows you that your body, everything that you have been, your body from facial features all the way down to your feetsies, is perfect just the way it is. Made of clever hands and bright eyes. Your hands have the possibility to do absolutely anything. So use them. Control your life. Take control of your life. Take control of your destiny and where you want to go in terms of staying here and just achieving your goals, whether it's wanting to do big things like, you know, I don't know, maybe you're someone who is interested in creative art, someone who's created, like, who is interested in writing, being a maths major, getting into science, anything like that. Or maybe currently in this moment of time, your dream is to just feel happy. I know that's a very common emotion to feel. And that's just as possible as all the other dreams, because happiness, even though you may not feel it, is given to everyone, and it just takes finding the right things, finding the right safe and happy space to be able to feel that happiness. And your eyes are just beautiful. Your body does all that it needs to and safeguards you. It's the reason that you can fully function and that you can, like, you know, I guess just work like throughout the day. It doesn't matter how your body looks, it doesn't matter how your body may appear on the outside. If you can wake up in the morning and survive an entire day without, feeling faint, without feeling fatigued, without feeling like you want to collapse your body, is perfect just the way it is. None of that factors include how you look compared to a supermodel, how you look compared to photoshopped images. It's fully relies on, is it functioning? Is it working? Is it doing what it needs to do to get you around? And if that's it, like if it's doing that, then your body is perfect just the way it is. And yeah, if you haven't drinking any water or eaten any food today, this is your little reminder too, because even in certain states in your mind might be telling you that it's dangerous to do so and you shouldn't. Your body is saying a completely separate thing, which is that food is what you need to survive. I know the brain is saying one thing, but the body is saying one of the most important things, which is this is the energy that we use to function. You can't use anything else to do that. So again, speak to those that get professional help to be able to help and aid in maybe views they have of food. If you're super clingy to having as little as you can throughout the day, it's not the healthiest, but it is possible for you to be able to heal that, fix that, be able to heal that and get back on a path where you are eating properly and what your body requires to continue working. I know that I've mentioned the word fixing before, but fixing is not the best word in this situation. The reason for that is because, unfortunately, with mental health, you can't fix something. You can't fix in terms of, yay, I'm out of this thought process, I'm out of this state, and it's fixed and it's never coming back. Mental health is is something that just kind of goes up and down, zigzag. You never know what's going to happen. And sometimes, even though you may be doing everything that you can to heal and aid and assist that, you may feel back in those times where you just feel mentally unwell. But with those assists and those aids that you have gathered along the way, it makes those period of times and those state of minds a lot easier and more, and you can view it in a way where it's possible to tackle it. Sometimes when people fall back into those states, they may feel as though that they are doomed, but you're not doomed. By learning what you've learned throughout your life, whether it's affirmation messages, possibly trying to get those jitters out of you by dancing, listening to your favorite music. Self-care is a very important and one of the most common ones. being able to try and eat right in those moments, focusing on yourself and just ignoring responsibilities such as work, school, just to be able to take a day for yourself to feel mentally well again. Those skills that you build up help you along the way to be able to make those times, those mental health like occurrences, like those states, a lot easier to be able to get yourself back out of and be able to become the more sort of mentally well person. And something that has worked for me that I think is a very effective one, because it's a very vague step that I do, which can very much easily be altered to different situations. I like to do something that I've called for myself, it's a term that I made myself, called an hour just for me. The hour that I have is from 8:30 to 9:30. However, it can be adjusted depending on the time that you sort of feel the most, you feel as though is the most effective for you. I chose 8:30 to 9:30 because that's when I tend to finish everything that I need to do for the day. And that 8:30 to 9:30 is when you basically drop all responsibilities, all work, all things that may be that could possibly be taking a toll on your mental health, be taking a toll on your well-being. You drop all of that, and that hour is for yourself. Not something that you need to do, but something that you want to do is what that hour is dedicated to. Maybe you haven't found the time to clean your room, for example, because it's been just such a difficult time and a busy time. You can use that hour to do it. If you want to write in a journal or write about anything, to put your thoughts onto paper, use that hour to do it. Maybe you're someone who's creative and like to make visual drawings, use that hour to do it. For me, it's effective when I turn electronics off, but I like to keep it on sometimes because I like to listen to music that just makes me feel mentally well during that hour. If that is to play just sort of fun, nice feeling games, for example, that can work as well. If you use that, but there's a fine line, try to ignore games where it's multiplayer, really aggro people that will just take a toll even further. That 1 hour is for you and you only, and you do not allow anyone to taint or take over that hour for whatever reason. If you need to build boundaries by telling people, I have this hour every day for myself, don't ask me to do stuff in this hour, that's okay. Communication is a key to helping with your mental health, and it's a very effective thing that you can use just to help yourself. And it can be very easily adjusted to what you want to do, but I think it's a very effective, just an hour for me. That's what I like to call it. If you want to call it something different, you go ahead. I think it's a cute title bot, so keep it. And I think, I'll be honest, I think that's all I've got to say. I tried to say as much as I could to try and soothe and take away that sort of feeling of just uneasiness, the feeling of worthlessness. You are worth everything, the feeling that it's hopeless. You have so much potential to make hope within your life and to make self-worth within your life. You have the potential to change things that, even though people higher up have said no, you have the power to step in and fight for what you believe is right and fight for what you believe you deserve. And if you can do that, that's all that matters. That's what you can do, and that's such an effective way to be able to change not only the potential of how you live, but the potential of how others can live as well. Sharing that positivity can make it so much more effective for us to feel safe and finding that hope and finding that support when you feel as though you need it is also something that is extremely important. And if you can find that, then you are one of the strongest and most beautiful people out there, and you are absolutely amazing just the way you are in any sort of situation, in any sort of state. You are perfect, and you are worth everything, and you are worth living. If you're feeling as though you aren't worth it and that life isn't worth it, I want you to find that light. I want you to open up to people. I need you to find that support, and I need you to realize there is that possibility. There is that light. The light will occur. You just have to look for it. Sometimes it sadly won't be handed to you, but you can fight for it, and I know you can do it. You're absolutely amazing. I love you so much, and I hope this podcast was either able to resonate with you or just help to get those fearful things, just at least to silence it a bit more. Unfortunately, you can't, you can shoot them down, you can silence them, and you can say no, but they may creep up once in a while. But hopefully you will be able to build that stance to go, I deserve better, and I need better, and just help yourself to, to the journey and process of healing. And I believe in you, and I love you, bestie, and you are just perfect. That's all I can say. And I know you can get there. Spirit believes in you too. He's here, and he's in his little beanie. He loves his little beanie, and he loves his little book. Look, he's reading it. I love you so much. Thank you for joining in. I hope this was able to help, and I hope you feel more comfortable being able to talk to someone and feel the support. And I hope that this can help enlighten you in certain situations. And if it wasn't able to resonate with you, I'm sorry that it wasn't able to. But there will be other things out there that will resonate with you more, and that it is possible to find them. But again, you have to search for it, you have to look for the light, and you have to look in the direction of that light. I love you so much. I hope you have such a beautiful day. I hope the day gets better from here and it doesn't get any worse. And I will see you in the next one, or I'll hear you in the next one. I love you so much. Bye.